Hey guys, welcome back to Stumblin Forward. I'm one of your hosts, Monica Ortega.
And I'm Kristen Herman.
Today we have a very special guest. Johanna B. Voss is a talent manager trusted by social media influencers who want clarity on how to build their brands, grow their businesses, earn their worth, and plan strategically for the future. On behalf of her clients, she's closed close to $2 million of brand deals, partnerships, and speaking engagements. Her clients have partnered with brands such as Kroger, Walmart, AARP, Little Northern Bakehouse, H&R Block, and Aldi. Negotiation is something she thoroughly enjoys, be it for her clients, friends, or with strangers. Entering her 10th year of working for herself, she understands all about the necessary pivots entrepreneurs take along their journey. And I was going to stop it there, but you have some really, really cool facts in this, so I have to include it. Prior to her work in the talent management space, Johanna worked on the presidential campaigns of Hillary Clinton and John Kerry for more than 7 years. Johanna is a world traveler, lived in Spain 3 times, and can often be found cycling Colorado's mountain ranges or asking the question, what if you? Follow her on Instagram at Johanna Voss. Thank you so much for being on here. I was so excited about your intro. I was like, I have to read it all. It's so good.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I like my intro too. Like a little, it's like they're always so businessy. And then you're kind of like, okay, but tell me like a little bit about you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love the extra facts. I was like, I got to read those too, because they're so good.
It's good to add those extras.
On the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself that wasn't in the intro that you want to say hi.
I was like, oh, those are all my exciting things.
There's nothing else to say.
Yeah, I was like, that's it, guys. Sorry.
All right, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Well, I too am super pumped about this. Since we scheduled, I tried to grab like the first time to connect with both of you because I was like, I just want to have this conversation. So I'm really happy that we're having it. Yeah. It's always great to connect with like-minded people, or I should say like-minded ladies who are just like hustlers and on their biz, which I like. Okay, so fun facts about me. I live in Denver, which I love saying, and it always works out because that's how Monica and I got connected. I'll elaborate on one of the things in the bio. So I backpacked around the world for a year, like a very small backpack, 2 pairs of underwear, like
to get really intimate. There's only 2.
Like the dry fit stuff you just wash and wear, right? Like that's most people around the rest of the world do not have as much stuff as Americans do. So
how old were you when you did that?
This was 2009, so I was 30. I'm gonna be 42 next month. So yeah, I was 30. I was 30. Yeah, it was 2009 to 2010, like the summer to summer.
And what inspired you to do that?
Well, this is like, it pains me to say this. It was a guy. I had met this guy a couple months prior. So we left in August of 2009 and I met this guy at the end of April, and he wanted to live in Spain. And I had actually at that point already lived in Spain twice, and I had just come back from living there for 6 months. So I was like, well, I kind of just, how privileged for me to be like, I just kind of just did that. So like something different. Like I like change. I like new things. Like I don't like doing the same thing over and over and again. And so we compromised, and it was like, well, let's travel for 6 months and then live in Spain for a couple of months and then come home. And I was like, okay. And this was, 08 was everything hit the toilet. So, I had been trying to find work. I just come home from Spain right in the fall of 08. So like bad timing. Yeah. So I had been trying to find a job for like 9 months. And he had just gotten laid off. So it was like, okay, well, this is
why not?
Yeah. Let's take advantage. So that was our plan, like 6 months of travel and 3 months of Spain. And then the trip ticket that we bought was you can either buy them by miles, like all the airlines are in 2 kinds of like 2 things, right? And I know you travel people know this. There's like the One World Alliance and then the other one, which I can't remember what it is. And so we bought a ticket with the One World Alliance, which you buy for like 3 continent, 4 continent, 5 continent, or 6 continent travel. We bought 4 continent, I think. And so we just kind of kept extending our trip. And the 6 months became a year, and then 3 months in Spain became a year in Spain. We lived in Barcelona.
Oh my gosh.
And then I came home. So,
with the same guy?
Yeah. And then I stayed with him for like another 2 years. truth of the matter is I should have broken up with him after the first year, but like, whatever, you live and learn. Yeah.
But honestly though, like, you know, you said you met him at the end of April, you went in August, and then you were with him for like, you know, the year traveling, which traveling with someone like that's really a good way to get to know someone. Yes, and then Spain, you know, which you're like, this is a completely different area, but you've been there. But yeah, that's good for you.
That's how the whole thing started. I mean, I would have, you know, I have like a long travel bucket list, like people. And so, you know, a trip around the world, like so cool, but I would have never organized to do it. I would have done like shorter trips or like, I'm going to go to South America and like go visit a couple countries for a couple of months. Like I would have done that. So he was the impetus for the whole trip around the world. And even though I kicked myself for the length of time we were together, I'm like, well, the cool thing is like, I did these two things, which were pretty badass. So like, that's why you were in my world. So like, it's okay.
Exactly. I think that's great. And then
a little bit.
Talent managing. I was just like, I'm like, let's get into like the actual business. So we're like, don't have a job, gonna travel the world, badass, like Spain, break up, and then go into your own business. How'd that get started?
So the like short version, I will only because it makes for context. When I was living in Spain with him, at that point, you know, I'd been traveling a bunch. It was like, okay, all the money's going out. We want some money to come in. And I just honestly wanted to use my brain because I had left. So I worked on the Hillary campaign in her first race, in 2008, left that, didn't do the general election for Obama and moved to Spain. And so I had not been working for, at that point, like a couple years. I'd just been traveling. So I was ready to like use my brain and contribute to society and very much was like, okay, I want to like get involved and like do things again and make money. So I launched a business when I was in Spain as a nutrition coach. So this is like 2011, I think, January 2011. And so I was not like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, like I want a business. I honestly was just like, I'm going to do something where I can make money. I was teaching English in Spain, but like, I just hated it and wanted to do something more and it didn't occupy all my time. So I launched a business to become a nutrition coach. I would go to my friend's apartment who had better Wi-Fi than me on Saturday. And I would just like line up all my clients and just like Skype with them back to back to back every week. And that was how I started. I did that for a few years, like maybe 3 or 4 years. I've had 2 pivots and they all like both have kind of overlapped, but it's all led me to talent management. It doesn't necessarily make sense to a lot of people, but I'm like, oh yeah, those were exactly the breadcrumbs that I needed to follow.
Yeah, nutrition to talent management. You're just like, where'd that come from? You know?
And every time I switched, so I did I did nutrition coaching for female, like endurance runners, triathletes, long distance cycling, that kind of stuff, marathoners. And then I was doing like project management and like operations and strategy stuff kind of behind the scenes. I would launch programs with my nutrition business and then other online entrepreneurs, which this was like 10 years ago. So there wasn't as much coaches and like all these people you run into like masterminds, like help you with stuff. And so people would just say, hey, you know, I'm really good at project management and that sort of stuff. Like, can you help me with my stuff? So I was like, oh, sure. So I just kept saying yes. It was always behind the scenes. And then I had this revelation when I moved here. I was making more money with that. And it was more of my brain and just like occupied more of my time. So I was like, oh, let's do that. Let's talk about that more. So I switched to that. And then when I was doing that, all my strategy was helping female solopreneurs who had successful businesses, had already grown and like stabilized and were ready for like, what's their next chapter. So that's where I came in to kind of like help them with a plan and just be another set of eyes and ears. And my first, or one of the strategy sessions that I did, it was like this 1.5-day intensive. Woman found me, flew me down to Florida, and she's an influencer. Her name's Lorraine C. Lattish. She was my first influencer client. She'd been looking for a business manager forever. I didn't know anything about the influencer world. This was like maybe 4 years ago. So it was not as ubiquitous as it is now.
Yeah.
We had a great time. We got along like a house on fire, helped her business. I moonlighted as her manager on a couple different partnership opportunities that came in when I was there. She was like, just pretend you're my manager. I was like, this is fun.
I got it.
Yeah, it went really well. It's always easier to play with other people's money, right? So she was like, oh my God, you're amazing. And I was like, well, this is fun and easy. So when I left, she asked me to be her manager. I said yes, even though I didn't really know what it was about, but I was like, oh, I'm resourceful. I like figuring stuff out. Like, I was like, I really like you. Like, we just got along so well. So I was like, if we can just stay connected, that'd be cool. Still doing strategy and operation stuff. And through her, I started to get a couple more clients. There's way more people who don't have managers who want managers than the opposite. So, she's just super transparent and would like, oh, I did this weekend, or I did this. Or like I talked to Johanna and people are like, who's Johanna? You have a manager. What's going on? And I just, through her to this day, still get a lot of inbound requests. So I still do the influencer stuff on the side. And then a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I think, I just decided to go full into the agency. I dropped all my retainer clients. And so that's what I do full time. And it is, not pivots necessarily, as I was saying, that people follow, but to me, I'm like, oh my God, like this helped me learn this, this helped me learn this, this helped me understand I'm really good at this. And like, this is it. Like this being a talent manager space is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I love it so much and it's so much fun. And so this is like, I'm like, oh, I just want to keep hanging out and doing this all the time, every day.
We kind of talked about that the other day, how like, it's funny. This is a good one for people that like, don't know what they're doing yet. Mm-hmm. Figure out what people keep paying you to do and what keeps coming up naturally. And if you enjoy that, like make a career of it. Because it was the same thing with me with hosting. It was like, I just kept getting hosting jobs. I was like, yeah, it's just paying the bills while I do this acting thing. And then I was like, wait, I have way more fun doing that. So it's funny how that works out. And then it makes sense down the road. It's kind of like when you meet the right person and you're like, oh, this is why all these other people didn't make sense.
Yes. Yes. I very much feel the same way. I was not like, you meet some people, they're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. My dad was, my granddad was, my mom, my aunt. And I'm just like, but like doing what?
Yeah.
That was not me. I mean, I was never without direction, but I'm very much like, well, let's just like see what happens and flow and try stuff. And following those breadcrumbs is so like, yeah, exactly what you said, Monica, what people pay you for, what people keep asking you for. Sometimes it's a lot easier for other people to recognize our talents and just acknowledge them because it's so easy for them to be like, oh, you did this thing. I watched you do the launch. It went really well. I loved all your stuff. Can you just like do that for me?
Yeah.
So say yes to stuff that you don't think maybe is like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, personally, like that's where, I know we've been talking about pivot a lot, like the word pivot, as well as like in our first episode, we talk about the book, You Are a Badass. And then in that book, because Monica introduced that to me, was what do you lose time in? Like, what is the one thing that's something you lose time in? And so for me, when I had to think about it and I was reading that book, I was like, well, it's video editing. I could literally video edit and like 5 hours would just go by and I'd be like, oh yeah, I should probably like drink water or eat or sleep, I guess, like stand up for a second. So that was my thing. And it took me a long time to be like, okay, maybe you're not an actress, like, you love acting, but you do keep getting asked to edit and you keep getting asked to film and like be on set. So why not just like keep going with that? So it takes a little minute. Yeah. It took a minute to like get there, but I do like agree where it's like, once you find that thing, you lose time and you thoroughly enjoy. And it's like, it doesn't have to be immediate. You don't have to be 19 to like, be like, oh, well, I need to go to school for something. And I guess I'll just go for this, because you think but it takes time to find that one thing.
I would love to know what is your favorite thing about what you do and what is your least favorite thing about what you do. That's not a question in the questionnaire. I'm just throwing you in now.
That's okay, because I don't remember any of the questions in the questionnaire.
Good.
Okay, so favorite thing, I'll do the least favorite thing first so we can just like get that out the way.
Yeah.
What is the least favorite thing I have to do? Okay, it's two things.
I guess it's a good thing you have to think about it because it's like.
Well, no, I was trying to one, and then I'm like, no, it's really two. So I hate more than anything tracking down late invoices. Is such a pain point. Yeah. Such a pain point. There's no excuse for it. It's just super disrespectful to the creators and the influencers. So I hate tracking down late invoices. And then the other thing that's really frustrating is, I was trying to think of how to describe it, but like some element of just like education around this industry, because it's super new and people disrespect and don't understand how much goes into it to create the beautiful, gorgeous content that brands want. And so it's just frustrating sometimes to have to like teach and tell people, no, you cannot get a YouTube video that is 10 minutes about a recipe on my client's YouTube thing who has 2.5 million subscribers for $1,000. Like,
oh my God.
It's not, first of all, she's going to lose money. Like it just, the math doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're paying for the person's expertise and all that they've invested in their business, similar to when you're hiring someone in corporate and they come with 15 years, like you're paying for all of that experience and knowledge. It's the same in the space. So it's just frustrating, like running into, people who are like, well, hey, like how low is your client willing to go? And I'm just like, we're not, I'm insulted. Back,
Well, that's the problem is people don't like when they actually break something down, when a job is broken down and you actually see how much you'd be making an hour, like, yeah, you would realize then like $1,000 isn't enough. Yeah. You lost money, and people don't do that math because they don't have to. And then there's like, but $1,000 seems like a lot. It's like, it's not. In the end.
I mean, all of the content creation and the prep and the redos, like a minute, a 90-second, video that a brand puts together from B-roll that you send over or stuff literally will take you a 6-hour shoot. Like people just do not, and that's not including hair and makeup and like the script preps. It's insane. Okay. So enough about that. The good stuff that, I have such a fire under my butt about, it's beyond helping people understand their value and worth, but it is pulling back the curtain and just being like, here, say this, do this, ask for this. It is so empowering, like just to help people stop spinning their wheels. Because I have this seat at the table where I have so many conversations with agencies and brands and I get feedback and I have conversations that influencers you just wouldn't have because they'll tell me like, hey, Johanna, side note, X, Y, and Z, just know this, I'm going to send you an email, but like they'll call me and give me the backstory or something like that. Just wouldn't, they're like, I need you to say yes to this, or I'm going to send you this amount, but can you say this because I'm trying to make the argument, but I need it to come from you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. They would never have that conversation directly with an influencer. It's a much more just like transactional.
Yeah.
So I have such a fire under my butt about teaching people. And it's not like I'm giving away industry secrets or anything. It's just sometimes like basic negotiation or helping people ground in, like, stop asking for $500. You should be asking for $1,000 for this. And to say that to someone and literally just help them get from like where they are spinning their wheels to just asking. And then the stories when they're like, oh my God, I asked for $1,000 and they said yes without even blinking an eye. I'm like, okay, cool. Next time ask for 1,500.
Yeah.
To tell people, and literally just like with the confidence of say this, cause I know it works. And then to see it work. And then for them, like, this is what I love about female business owners. Like we're great about supporting our own economy. Yeah. And you make more money. You're like, cool, I'm going to update my website or like upgrade my social media graphics, or like, I'm going to hire a videographer. Like we immediately turn around and think about how to spend it out. And so it's the same thing. Like someone will then have the confidence to ask for more money just to know, like, this is what it's supposed to be. That confidence will ooze out in so many other areas of their life. Maybe they'll tell a friend about it. Maybe they won't give numbers, but they'll just be like, I don't know what you're asking for, but maybe you should ask for more money. Or I asked for this. You should ask for this. And so it's like there's such a ripple effect of it being beyond just money, of helping people boost their confidence and have, you know, a greater sense of what they're doing as an entrepreneur, because so many people are winging it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had this argument with a lot of people in the travel industry and the travel influencer industry that nobody wants to share numbers. And then half the people are doing it for free and half the people are getting laughed at because they're asking for too much. And, you know, I had a girl email me and say, you know, you don't have to say, but how much did you get paid? Because I got turned down. She asked for like 10 times what I asked for, which tells me I could have asked for more. Maybe she should have gone less, but like there's a lot of space in there.
Yeah.
And unless people are having those conversations, nobody takes influencers seriously. They think, we'll just give you a purse and then you'll produce a bunch of content. It's like, no, don't give me the product. That doesn't pay my bills.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, that's great and all, but it's like you know, it's finding the right number and also being confident in that number and knowing your worth with it, you know, where the imposter syndrome, which we bring up all the time, comes in and you're just like, well, I don't know. And so having that number and sticking to your guns, and yeah, it's great. So
it's like the industry is going to try and get it for as least amount of money as possible. And so, you know, you just think about like, we're as good as our worst player or our lowest charging player. So it helps everybody in the industry, because that guy coming at me for $1,000, you know, $1,500 for that YouTube video is because someone will say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone will say yes. Granted, I said to him, like, you get what you pay for. So good luck with that. But
I had one that just tried to do it for $100 for me.
$100 to do what?
For a YouTube video of their products. And I was like,
no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I think like one of the other benefits of my role and for any talent who has a manager is like, it's not personal for me. So I can ask for a number and they say no. And I'm like, you know, I asked for 10,000. They're like, we don't have 10,000. I'm like, okay, what do you have? Like, I don't even think about or have any emotional reaction to it. Cause I'm like, it's just a number. And the reality is for anyone, it's just a number. You charge $1,000 for an Instagram in feed post. Your value is not $1,000. Like your worth is not $1,000. It's literally just your service for that one thing.
Yeah.
And so, but people have such a personal connection to it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't tell you my rates. Like it's top secret. And, you know, I'm just like, I mean, I get it as personal, but I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, cool. Give me a range. Like you don't need to talk specific numbers. Like, or maybe you say, hey, this person reached out and I want to charge like 5,000. Like, can you give me an over under on what you did? You know, was it
am I in
over 5,000? And you're like, yes. I'm like, okay, was it over 6,000? You're like, yes. I'm like, was it over 8,000? You're like, no. I'm like, cool.
Warmer, colder, warmer. I'm like, am I getting there?
So what kind of mistakes would you say that you made going from, you know, all these different careers into actually finding what you love to do now and like building that as a business?
So my mistake that I did was at the very, very, very beginning, I put all my eggs into this basket of my business. I had come back from Spain. I had my coaching business. It was just getting off the ground. And it was like, no, I'm doing this. Like, I'm going to make this work. And at that point, it took me a couple of years until I did this, but, you know, it takes a while to make a business work and just to get traction. And it's like literally just the passage of time, which never goes fast enough. And, you know, even if you're making money, it's like, okay, you take out taxes, like to keep the lights on, like it takes a long time to get to that point where you're like, I can put food on the table.
Yeah.
And I was so scrappy. I just kept at it. What I should have done was get a job on the side to take care of my basic bills. So I didn't have all of this, like, I have to make it work. So, you know, at the end of the day, and I did eventually like work at a grocery store and just like pick up other random things for that exact reason. But at the beginning, I should have had my business on the side, because it wasn't all consuming. Like it wasn't a 24 or, you know, an 40-hour work week kind of thing. Yeah. So I remember hearing something that Liz Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote a number of very successful books and has had them optioned to movies. She talked about how the very beginning, she didn't put any pressure on her art. And she's like, I want my art to stay in a space where I can still be creative and enjoy it versus showing up and being like, I have to sell this book script. Like someone's got to buy it. Cause it's just, then you have a different relationship with your work when you have that like grippiness around it. And so she just said that she wasn't putting any pressure on her art. And she would, I don't remember what she did, but she had a, quote, regular job. And she just committed to her art. And she was like, I'm going to get up an hour earlier every morning. And she would write like on the subway or something. And then an hour every single night. She's like, that's what I'm going to do for my art. And it wasn't, and she was working like 4 jobs. And I think it wasn't until Eat, Pray, Love had already been a bestseller and was optioned to become a movie that finally she was like, okay, I think I can quit my 4 jobs now. And I just think about that because it is different when you're like pitching, whatever your work is. And you're like, I have to have this client.
Yeah.
It's just different. So that's in hindsight. I somehow am still here and I figured it out and now we're all good. But yeah, that's what I would have done differently because it just would have taken some stress off of an already stressful situation of trying to get a business up.
Yeah, that's such a good point too, because I feel like there's 2 camps, right? There's the like hustle on the side and love what you do. And then there's the quit everything or you'll never do it. And it's like, well, at some point, you have to pay the bills, like you said. So
yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
So what would you tell people who want to start like maybe their own talent managing? Sorry. What would you tell other people who want to start their own talent management or possibly even hire you personally?
Okay, so totally different answers to that question.
Yeah, I know.
So for anyone who wanted to start talent management and or just any business, I do it on the side, do it for fun, practice and, intern yourself, see what it's like, follow people, like ask if you can shadow people. I've had a young woman who's interested in getting into talent management who has like scheduled time on my calendar. She pays me my consulting fee and she's like, she comes with questions and then goes off and like explores. And then she'll tell me like, okay, I had this call with a potential client. Like, here's what they said. And then we'll have another call and I'll walk her through kind of like a mentor thing, but like on a very quick, like express train.
Yeah.
So just like go out and try it without the stress of having to make it work. Because a lot of times, like you think you may know what you want to do, but to what we were saying earlier, it may not actually be the thing you're supposed to do. And it may be what gets you started, but not what you're like, oh my God, this is it. So allow the space for other things to pop up and give yourself the time to explore that. You're not going to figure it out in like 3 months or 1 month or like, 2 shadow interviews or something. So just really, it's not so much like do your homework because I'm much more like, we'll get in and do it rather than like read and study about it, like practice the thing. So I would just say get in and practice the thing. And then to your other question about hiring me and or an agent, there's a couple questions you should ask yourself. 1, strictly business speaking, we work off commission. So for someone who is just getting started or maybe earns $20,000 a year, I take 20%. Most agents take 20%. So you just do the math on that. Like for where I want my business to be, need my clients to be at or around 100K. Generally, that's $20,000. You take out taxes and like you do all the work backwards. It's actually not that much money. Yeah. So people don't think about that. So just, check in about where your business is at. Also why you want to have an agent. A lot of people want an agent to find them work, to build their business for them. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I did an Instagram post on this a little while ago, but it was like when brands or agencies search for talent, they don't search for talent managers. They search for talent. I'm looking for a Latina foodie, a travel influencer, someone who lives, in Denver and does hosting. Like they're not going to look for who's the manager for someone who does TV hosting. No. They'll find me, but they search for talent. And so I have great relationships. Do I have agencies come to me and they're like, hey, Johanna, there's a project we've got going on. Like, do you have anyone that fits the bill? Totally. Does it work out? Often, yes, but 95% of the time they go directly to the talent. So if you want an agent to build your business, I don't know why I'm doing air quotes, to build your business, and make you an influencer, it's not going to work because they come for your content and like, I can't, nor do you want me creating that for you.
Yeah, that's good. Where do you see your agency going in the next 5, 10?
Oh, we're going global, baby. Yeah. I would love to, so I rep 9 women right now, multicultural, multi-generational, all walks of life. I would love to continue either, obviously still representing the same people, but then I'm open to having some new talent and or just continue to elevate my agency so there's more eyeballs on it. So I do have more people coming to me who are like, oh, Johanna's always got good talent. We love her roster. We love working with her. Mm-hmm. It's always great when people reach out to me directly. So I would just love to build it so there's more of those opportunities and be seen more like at a higher level.
Awesome. Johanna, do you want to share anything else with like the audience or anything that any little nuggets of wisdom you'd like to say?
So yes, I will say this for anyone. This is just like good advice for being an entrepreneur or not, influencer, content creator, whatever you are. One of my business mottos is move your feet while you pray. That comes from Kate Northrup. I think she has it from somebody else. I can't remember. So I may be lacking in attribution there. But it's really easy to think about doing things, think about all the reasons not to do things, to get caught by fear, paralysis by analysis, or just questioning or wondering. Just start doing things. Even if you're like, I want, like Monica, I'll use you as an example. Like maybe you want more hosting gigs and maybe you want your own TV show. So instead of sitting there and thinking about it and wondering about it, and maybe you don't know the path, maybe you don't know anyone who wants to do that, but just start like, okay, I'm going to host my own show. I'm going to host my own videos to exercise the muscle, to show up as the way that I want to show up so people can see and grasp it for any future, producers that want to hire me. You start like asking around, you start following up and making connections. Next time you're on set, you talk to the producer and director and you're like, can I follow up with you? Instead of just showing up and doing the thing and being like, well, that wasn't the, TV spot that I wanted, or I didn't like this, ad opportunity. Think beyond that and leverage what you've currently got going on, because those are the people that are just like climbing up the ladder and hustling, or not even hustling, but just like making connections and building relationships. Those are the people that are successful. So, but yet it's so easy not to do that. And everyone can think of a million excuses. So move your feet while you pray. It is a driving business motto for me. And just really always works out.
I love that. And where can people find you at if they want to connect with you or connect with the agency, all the goodness?
So my website is johannavoss.com, and that is JOHANNA, V as in vegetable, OSS.com. And then my Instagram is my first name, last name, Johanna Voss.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rehearsed that website one, didn't you? Vegetable. Yeah.
Like I know my dad's always like, V as in victory. I honestly your vegetable. I think vegetable's funny. So
I think vegetable's nice. I like that one. Well, Johanna, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for all the wisdom you shared about your business. And I actually didn't know this much about talent management in your sense. So I learned a lot. If anybody wants to listen to this episode, we are on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Please leave us 5 stars. This video is going to be up on YouTube. And thank you, Johanna. I hope you have a great time, everybody. And I'm one of your hosts, Kristen Herman.
And I'm Monica Ortega.
All right. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you. Love you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.